Hey, good morning, my peoples. How is everyone doing? Look, it has been a pretty chill week. I've gotten some or chill weekend in the markets. We've had pretty much a consolidating period with Bitcoin, with just everything that's out there. After this past week, it's really been it's been a slow week, which is kind of good, right? Gives the markets time to breathe, gives people the ability to be able to think straight, right? Like when you're running on that much emotion and the market's falling apart, it's typically going to mess with your head. Into the unless you're basically a robot and you're able just to say, okay, X, Y, Z, this is what we're doing. Some of us made a lot of money as the market was dropping into certain things, and that's a good thing, right? So as the markets are moving, make sure you stay hardcore to your rules. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up is I've had some people straight up just tell me, "Look, you have great content. It is fire." The issue is you go way too much in depth, and in additionally to that, it's too much information, and it's too long. And they just outright said, "Listen, I cannot pay attention that long." So you need to wrap this up quick. Get to the point. Don't throw your jokes in. Just like blah 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 blah. Just get right to it. So I said, all right, I get that. So I'm changing up the platform just a little. The way I do things on the chart analysis, I'm gonna go right into it. Don't really give much explanation of it. Just give you guys raw data, like just raw, like just boom, give it to you like sushi, just straight meat. Give you some soy sauce and let you get at it. You know what I'm saying? Like boom, get it. Instead of trying to give you like a dragon roll, just straight, just like give you just straight like sushi or not sushi, but the straight fish. Boom, go, you do it. So all right, so I'm gonna jump right in that in a second. One last little thing I gotta bring up here real quick and let people know um, real quick. I thought I set this up, which I was letting my community know that I'm going live, and it is not. I thought it was supposed to actually do it all at once. When I went live here, it's supposed to go live there, but it did not. So I must have did something wrong. So I can figure that out. There we go. It'll be done in 30 minutes. So my goal is to get this done in and out 30 minutes and have a good day. So while we're at it, let's jump into it real quick. So this week we actually have a lot of stuff going on. Again, regarding news. So it's going to be quite fun. Today, basically Monday, there's nothing really kicking off, as you guys can see here. But Tuesday, we actually have, and where is it at? Give me one second here, real quick. We have a durable goods report, which will probably move the market here. That's going to be at 8:30. The next one is happening at consumer confidence, which will most likely really move the reports. So the CB report, pay attention to this, guys. It correlates with the new home sales. So be mindful of it. That's Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Next one that we got to go into is Wednesday. And Wednesday, we have the pending home sales. This in itself is going to be pumping the market as well. So be ready for that. In additionally to that, that will be happening at 10 o'clock in the morning. In addition to that, also, they're going to be talking more about the FOMC stuff. Members will be talking. I don't think that will move the market, but that 10:15 mark, Fed Jerome Powell will be speaking as well. Also, we have the crude oil inventory list that comes out weekly. That also might move the market as well. With that, if you do trade CL, or crude oil, there you guys go. Make sure you're paying attention to this because this will either stop you out of your trade or make you a lot of money. But either way, or take a lot of money from you. So make sure you're paying attention to that. Thursday, as we roll into Thursday, we have a few more announcements coming in. We have the CDP report, and then also the initial jobless claims report here again. So making sure you're paying attention to that, guys. That's the end of the month report, which kind of encapsulate everything that we're looking for. So, and then Friday, as we roll on the Friday, and timing, those will be, here we are. pardon me, guys. 8:30 in the morning. Be ready or be square. All right, next, let's get into the markets here in regarding Friday. PCE report for the price index, core price index report going on. Be paying attention to that. That starts at 8:30. We'll probably shoot the market one way or another for either the sell-off for the week or a buyback for the week. So be paying attention for that. Always remember, look at the day and the night before and checking out wicks. And so for either moving up or moving down, they'll give you directional pull which way it will be moving. We'll go into that when those days come. All right, let's go ahead and go right into the charts here. So S&P 500 has been moving down, right? We can see that. Now, if we look at the things we talked about, how the market moves up during Monday and into Tuesday, typically we're going to see a sell-off for the week. Right now, we're kind of in between. So if we look at the smaller time frames, right, as we're checking things out, we're kind of going sideways, which probably means they're waiting for the report to happen. And they're not really putting any directional pushes regarding one way or another. As you guys can see, like we had from last night, where are we at? Boom, last night right here, really weren't any directional pulls regarding any wicks, right? We have some supply wick here, a little bit of demand wick here, but nothing really in particular that they're screaming that they want to do. They bounced off the 20 period moving average, or excuse me, 200 period moving average on the daily, or excuse me, on the 5 and 15 minutes. So just something to be paying attention to. Again, charting wise, if we are going to continue down, we're coming down to this area here to that 35. And in particular, we're definitely coming down into that monthly 50 period moving average where we have a weekly zone right here, guys. So this is an area that we need to be paying attention to, okay? This is a gap area where there are buyers here. Let me mark it as a gap area, guys, real quick one. Here we are. So be paying attention to this. This is also where that 50 period moving average is at, okay? So there you go. Let's go into the Nasdaq Nazidi. Here we go. This here is still following a trend here. That trend line we're following based off of it. This was a we blew right through this area here. Wait for a retracement, like I always say, guys. Wait for that retracement to come back into these areas and sell off. We are bouncing. We're actually even closer to that 50 period moving average on the, I think this is the monthly. Now here's the monthly down here. Here's the weekly one down in this level here. So we're definitely going to see some sideways action here for a little bit. Will it be a couple days? Will it be a couple weeks? We don't know. We do have a sharp trend line sitting right here. So we'll see what happens right in this level. We can be here maybe for 2 weeks and then we sell off or push through and start to put in sideways action. So it'll be really interesting to see where we're at right now. But remember, we're at the 50 day on the weekly or excuse me, 50 period moving average on the weekly, and on the daily we are on the monthly we're at the 50 period moving average also on the monthly chart here. All right, so these are strong areas and we have a zone. So we'll see what happens. Do get ready. If you're still short, take profit once we get into these areas, guys, because we're going to have some turbulent times. We might see some big moves up or and down pushing through it. Next, let's go into the dollar. The dollar, DXY, is still a juggernaut of a beast. It is moving all the way up. Now, we are seeing also some major catastrophes with the British pound, right? Because we've seen some major pushes already, right, on the weekly and daily. As you notice, the weekly we just shot down from last night on the futures, and now the British pound is at its lowest point it's been in. Well, I guess when I read one article, since its inception. So that's nuts, right? Because of the U.S. dollar and its strength pushing up. So you need to make sure that if the dollar keeps going up, we're going to see typically an inverse reaction with the S&P 500, hence with Bitcoin. Now, I'm going to some really interesting things with Bitcoin today because we're in kind of a consolidation pattern, which is really making things really unique, right? Is Bitcoin going to go down to 10,000? I feel that it is, but if we continue in the sideways motion, well, I'm going to have to change my view because guess what? The market is showing me. The market is always right, right? Kind of like in the show, the new Lord of the Rings show, right? The sea is always right. The market is always right, all right? So making sure, guys, that we want to be paying attention. If the dollar does still continue, guys, to move up, be looking for some type of reactions in this 11 our 118, 117 area, as well as up in our upper levels here that we marked out. I do see us, the next one, after once we pass through here, is a next one up in this area of the 127 area. So these are really important areas here, because if we see massive sell-off in the dollar, we'll see a rally typically in the S&P 500. Hence, another type of rally in Bitcoin as well as in Ethereum and a lot of the other coins in the market. So that's how they interrelate as a trading perspective. It's just basically a pool of money, right? They're capping their money off and then redistributing it throughout other trades so they can make more money on other stuff. Asset reallocation, right? As a lot of financial advisors want to call it. Boom. So that's cool what we're seeing. We're also seeing, because of that, a major sell-off in gold. So GC here on the futures, we are bouncing through that 50-period moving average, and I'm just kind of shocked that it's just going to go through that. So we'll see what happens on that monthly, okay? As we get to that daily, though, we are following the trend of the 8-period moving average, coming into some weak zones that I've marked out. We could see some type of reactions off of these. We'll find out. The fact is that we do have that 50-period moving average with close to a zone, could give us some type of move up, okay? Maybe a back retracement. The reason why I bring up gold is because gold, again, has a fleet of money. And so typically, we know that institutions are now getting into crypto, right? So if things start to get real crazy, they might pull money out of Bitcoin, even though that's the flea now, into gold for a short time if we do see a rally here, okay? So be mindful of that as well. You want something you want to be paying attention to, right? Don't be ignorant of that. I want to put in here real quick a GC / BTC. Now, this is basically a chart of BTC and gold, right? And almost their inverse or kind of similar reaction. They actually move fairly well together. So it's really interesting to sit there and see what's actually going on here within this. This big push here is really, I think if we, I want to be paying attention. I just discovered this weekend, so I'm starting to play with these quite a bit in the markets and what's actually going on. This is basically, I believe, gold and basically divided by BTC and actually seeing its merge, right? So these type of charts are pretty interesting. I've been messing with them. This gap here, I want to be paying attention to, because you can see how we came down into this gap and we rallied off of this chart right here with Bitcoin. All right, this is Bitcoin and gold. Okay, put things together. You can see here in the same sense. So if we see another gap up, we'll probably see another type of push up, which means we might see a really sell off, okay, within the actual markets. So be mindful for that, what we're seeing here, okay? We're going to keep an eye on this type of chart here because it's dope. All right, next, let's go right into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is really looking really interesting, like I said. Whereas we're seeing a sell-off within the traditional markets, right? Bitcoin is like going sideways. So that's really interesting, right? Because the fact is that it has been following S&P 500 fairly well. But we can see here now that S&P 500 is selling off. But yeah, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is holding on for its dear life, and it's holding well. So for me, I'm looking at it going like, wow, like that's dope. You know, that's really cool to sit there and see. My biggest thing is I'm looking for wicks, right? So I'm seeing here's a buyer wick, here's a seller wick, here's a buyer wick. We might be putting another seller wick. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen here. I don't trust the typical like patterns. Like this would be a bear flag, right? Boom, pop, drop, right? We would calculate from here to either here, however you want to do it, from here to drop, or you go from here to here, right? However you want to sit there and see it, boom, where the actual head stopped, right here would be right here, boom, and they started going. However, and then that next leg down. The only issue is the institutions know that the other buyers and sellers play off of that. So if the institutions are always needing orders, it's not going to play the way we want to see it. All right. So that's why I don't like traditional patterns and a few of the other patterns that are known. The things that I can truly say is the fact is that buyer wicks or seller wicks are stepping in, and that's how we know buyers or sellers are coming in or out. Okay, that's what I'm always looking at, right? Which way are they bringing us up in the some shorter time frames is what I'm looking for, right? Are they putting in buyer wicks, or are they putting in, if the market is moving up and I'm seeing seller wicks step in and no real buyer wicks, well, guess what? We're going to have a sell-off, right? In the same sense, if we see no seller wicks stepping in, right, as we're moving down, well, most likely we're going to come back up, right? Once we hit a higher time frame, either demand zone, supply zone, dynamic zone within the moving averages, or whatever type of strategy that you're using, that's typically what you can use, right? And so again, we're not seeing much. Now I do put in here though, with Bitcoin, we are seeing seller wicks starting to step in here, seller wicks, a small buyer wick here, right, or decent buyer wick, but down in here, we see buyer wicks, which they pushed it up. Now, as we're coming down, we're seeing more seller wicks step in. The last few, last hour or two, we've kind of gone sideways here. But again, up in here, I saw them put in the seller wicks and no buyer wicks, which screams to me that they want to push it down even further for Bitcoin. So I'm looking at these levels right here, right? Now, the other thing I want to bring up, and this is what I like, right, is let's look at Ethereum, right? Ethereum is looking very similar, but look at Ethereum in regards to our seller wicks. We have a lot more heavy seller wicks on Ethereum, right? And we're also seeing a heavy hand, even though we do have support on these higher time frame moving averages. It's not giving us I'm not seeing bigger buyer wicks on Ethereum, right? And so I would want to see bigger ones off of this. I want to see larger than average. Like for example, I want to see buyer wicks that look like this, okay, where it comes down, boom, and then it pushes up. We're not really seeing that. We're seeing and if you notice here on the seller wick, we have a small little buyer wick here, right? Which shows even though it went up, we see that it's coming down, which means that they're putting in their positions into going short. As we see here on the higher time frames, we can sit there and see that they want to push it down. Now, we found support off of that 200 period moving average in conjunction with that monthly moving average, which is the 50, which we are similar seeing what's going on with the Nasdaq, because it follows the Nasdaq almost 2 to 2. But I want to point out that the Nasdaq, you look at the day on Ethereum and Bitcoin versus the Nasdaq, which we'll pull up right here, but bam, look, it is really interesting that you're seeing a sell-off off of this and a consolidation within crypto. So I want to bring that up. Let's check out BNB. BNB is stronger. Even though we are seeing some seller wicks, this is what I'm looking for, right? The buyer wick, boom, push up, boom. You do have a sell-off, but then it is rejected by the buyers. The only thing that concerns me is the fact that we don't have a buyer wick here. But this sitting in this area here that we're bouncing off of is nice. Okay, so this is where I really like BNB. Again, I've been favorable I'm very favorable on BNB because of what they have as a business, as well as whoever's running it is doing a great job. So that's how it is. They run their business well, and the chart shows it. So I wouldn't be shocked if we actually see a BNB dominance. And remember, Yahoo and a few those other search engines were bigger than Google, but Google took over, right? After the second wave or the third wave of the market. So it's really, really interesting. All right, next, it's going to ADA Cardano. Again, it's going to look very similar to what we're seeing with the rest of the markets. A consolidation period. Like I said, again, jump right back into that 5 minute and look at literally which way they're putting the buyer and seller wicks. If they're going to drop it, right, we're going to see more seller wicks. Bam, bam. Look at that. Bam, bam. I almost sound like Bam Bam there, right? But look, they're putting in their seller wicks, which basically communicates to me they want to drop. I don't see any buyer wicks until we get down into these levels here. We get to that 15-minute or 30-minute mark here, right? Look at this right here, guys. Boom. There's nothing really until we get down to these levels here. So if you're day trading that, maybe consider taking part of your profit down in here. But you can see here, guys, this is looking fire to me. because we are consolidating. We're actually going sideways. So this is really impressive. Let's go into Algorand. Algorand looks very similar. We hit our area here. Let's go into the daily. We hit the tops here, sold off a little. Now it basically stopped people out, and that's really interesting. Wonder what it hit right here. I think we hit. Yeah, it was the 20. That's what it was. I remember we hit that 20 period moving average, and then it sold off from this point, and then it continued down, and then we saw a rally up. So we'll see if we see another move here. Um, there. All right, boom. Now let's go ahead and go real quick into our actual market part right here. Let's check out Ethereum BNB XRP real quick. XRP is one that is really strong right now. I mean, look, that with the news of the Fed and them basically backing off, and now they're kind of going after Ethereum with saying, well, the majority of the nodes are in America. It's ours. Almost like, the toughest kid on the playground, right? Saying, that's my lunch, right? Or this is my hill, right? So it's going to be really interesting. But we're seeing some really good stuff going on with XRP. Obviously, they are bucking the market here. In addition to that, we can see here, though, that we saw a downward moment, right, for the first of the week. Now we might see an upwards movement, very similar to Bitcoin. What's going on with Bitcoin a little. But again, I like this because this means there might be a bullish sentiment of it moving up. We are bouncing off that 50 period, or excuse me, 8 period moving average right here and coming below the monthly moving average here. Okay, we're coming to the end of the month. So that's why we're looking at these things, right? These are monthly moving averages are typically targets that we can use to play off of, right? So if this continues though, right, our next spot that it will probably stand, previous supply becomes what? Demand, I always say, right? So we have this weekly supply right here. So this will probably come back down and find support in this level here. Now, the biggest thing is we want to see a fatty wick come down. I believe that's the weekly. Yeah. So we should see that 8, as this comes down, we should see this 8 typically move up if we're seeing buyers. If we start to see this start to turn around, right, based off of momentum of sellers, then we'll start to see this turn around or almost curve down. If you do, get ready for a sell-off in with XRP, okay? So be paying attention to that. Next, let's go into Solana. Sorry. Yeah, so they get a little dramatic effect there, right, for the quietness of it. Oh, I hate it when that's happening. Joshua, you know how that is, my friend. You know how that is. Actually, by the way, if you're on, Josh, let me bring you in, my friend. Give me 1 second. Yeshua, where are you at? Sorry about that, brother. I gotta find you here real quick. Did you change your monogram? I think you did. Give me 1 second. Let me jump here. So I jump right into this, guys, in just a moment. Here you are. No, you did not. That's weird. I mean, you're not up at the top of my stuff. All right. If you can come on in, bud, I would love to have you. I always enjoy having you. Here you go, real quick. There you are. Boom. Copy. Now, the biggest thing is, guys, is here. When it comes to Solana, right? We know that the phone, HNT, which I feel like is probably one of the most strongest like telecommunication business idea I think that we've seen. We know that they're the fastest growing company there is in crypto regarding an actual phone and people going through how they're setting things up. And so it's really interesting to see how the DAO voted to go to the Solana phone and use their, long story short, blockchain to use for their system that they're trying to do. So it's going to be really interesting to see as Solana keeps moving forward where they're going to. I think the institutions know about it, they see it, and I think they want to drop it even more. Now I know they're showing here that we have sellers and no buyer wicks there except right here. Okay, it's not a bad thing because if they drop it, institutions will have a low base cost here, right? And with their staking mechanism and how they have certain things, what's going to happen, right, is that you will see them just reinvest their staking into the Solana network, right? And as they come in, it'll be really interesting to see how they play this for the institutions. I do see here that we are putting in seller wicks like I've showed here on the weekly, and it is looking, again, no real buyers stepping in, but more sellers stepping in. We do have one shining hope is that it is moving down first here in the morning, right, on Monday. And so we'll find out what happens here. But my biggest thing is this, is that even if we do see a sell-off, right, again, we're going sideways here, right? Whereas the traditional markets are going literally down. We're going sideways, if not a little bit up, higher highs and higher lows coming in. I just wish we would see more fireworks stepping in at these levels, right? All right, go ahead. Let's go into the next one, which is going to be Doge. Doji. Doge is, again, Elon Musk's little baby here. There's a lot of guys there also that pumped it, right? Like I was talking with a guy, I'm probably going to start bringing him. He's a blockchain expert. He has his master's degree in blockchain and also probably going, I don't know, he'll probably get his PhD. He's graduated for some pretty prestigious colleges. He's going to start coming onto the show and just talking about blockchain in general and the purpose of it. Also, there's a new term that he's actually coining, which is called smart blockchains or smart DAOs, right? So he's going to be really interesting to see what he brings to the table. I'm going to go on his show also and talk about certain things on charting and things like that. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. Now, as I'm looking at this again, I really do see us really coming down. We're following that 8-period moving average on the daily, as well as the 40, or excuse me, not the 40, the daily. And you can see here that we have that big seller wick off here, off of a higher time frame moving averages, and now we're continuing down. We did push through this 8-period moving average on the daily. So when we look at our weekly here, again, we have nothing but kind of air at this level. So we can come back down to these lower levels of 5 cents. Okay, this weekly candle did scream to me, hey, we want to move down. Again, we have that 50-period moving average that we did bounce off of to go down as well. So we'll see how we play at the end of the month. All right, guys, as this week finishes things off. Let's go into DOT here. DOT, again, is similar to the sideways pattern here, but I believe DOT is showing more weakness than strength. And they have a great platform. They have a great blockchain. The interoperability aspect behind it allows other coins to come in and interact. It's huge, right? So again, the thing that does concern me is the fact that it is pushing up first and instead of pushing down into the market first, right? But we'll see what happens. We did bust through the 8-period moving average. If it does find a resistance, sometimes it'll push through and then sell off against it, okay? We are in this zone area that we did pick, so we'll find out what happens here. But get ready. If it does sell off, the next portion is 489 and above here. If we do continue, get ready for it to rally up to the 79704 area and be ready to bounce off of that 20-period moving average, which is pretty much the weekly 8-period moving average. So it can see here that it's held pretty strong here now for the last month and a half, where we're coming down and we're playing off of this. All right. Next, let's get into Matic. Man, I think I'm going to be able to do it under 30 minutes. My brothers, here we go. Matic, let's jump right into it. Here we go. All right. Matic, very similar. It is showing a little bit more strength because we're having higher highs here, a little higher. Again, I'm still kind of bearish on this just simply because we kind of moved up, right? And now we're kind of moving sideways. So I don't know if we're really going to continue down, but we are following that 8-period moving average as we are moving down. We are in a demand zone, but we did bounce off it. If you look at that weekly 20 period, we found support here on it. But again, this is still pointing down, and I do see it's continuing down into these little levels down here, okay? Next, let's go right down into Shiba Doge. Oh, no, not Shiba Doge. Shiba. Sorry. I was in their Telegram yesterday just kind of listening to them and stuff. By the way, I couldn't believe Volt kicked me out. I went into Volt's thing, and they kicked me out of their thing. So that kind of hurt my feeling. I'm just saying. I know y'all don't like negative connotations, but I just want to help people, man, when it comes to the charting. I'd rather tell the truth than tell you a lie and have you lose money, right? So you can always buy back. You can always buy back as it comes down into lower levels. All right, so you can see here, guys, on this weekly chart here that we are hitting that 20 period moving average. We did sell off there, and now we're starting to continue down. We did put a big old seller wick into Shiba. Again, I am definitely a buyer at the 927 into the 7 6 area. Okay, so areas that I do see is coming down into. It might happen this week, might happen next week, but be prepared for that. They got good stuff going on though there. All right. If we go into the daily zone here though, if you notice over on Saturday night, they sold off pretty hard once they came back into these areas here. They are finding somewhat support off that 8 period moving average right here on the daily. There is a buyer wick sitting here in this area. So it might hold some type of support. So if you're going to play the inner time or intra time frames, right, be looking for the buyers and sellers to come in and out, guys. So if you're not seeing buyer wicks and seller wicks step in, make sure you're playing that position, right? If you're seeing it go down, right, but where did the seller wick start to push in? Right in these levels here, right? You can see here, here's a seller wick, none, a little, none, a little, nah, it's, I guess that's something right here, yeah. But really, this is where we do see the junctional points turn around, and also we have probably a 15-minute 100 period moving average right in these levels. So this is what I'm saying. You want to look to see higher time frame SMA stepping into our areas of supply that we would be able to see things turn around. Okay, that's in a nutshell, guys. We did it. I dang, I'm 2 minutes over, but thank you guys for coming into the show. It was a pleasure as always. And if you guys have any questions, any concerns, let me know. Hit me up in Moonrock Coin. You guys can always find me in the chat. If you have questions, concerns, reach out to me. If I do not respond to you quickly, please DM me or even hit me up on the open chat saying, hey, I have a question. Can you go look at XYZ coin? I will definitely do. I'm putting Moonrock officials Telegram connection so you guys can reach me there. Thank you so much for coming in today. You guys have a blessed day. Be safe this week. And remember, if the market's going down, short or get out. If the market is moving up, please go up with it, okay? All right, guys, have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.